What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and we're doing UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 3, the full card predictions for you guys. Sick card, amazing main event. I cannot wait to talk about this, guys. Smash that like button. Let's get 150 likes at a minimum on this full card prediction video, and also subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. Let's start it down. All the way at the bottom, way down at the bottom. First fight of the night action. Alen Amedovski versus Yaozong. I don't think a lot of people are extremely excited for this fight. A lot of people don't really know either fighter. For Yaozong, he tested positive for a banned substance. Has a long layoff, hasn't fought in 2.5 years. That was a loss against Rashad Colter, who's not in the UFC any longer. And then quick knockout loss on the other side for Amedovski versus John Phillips, who's had a really rough go in the past few. And that was nearly 2 years ago. Are the guys UFC caliber? They're definitely bottom end. At the end of the day, Amedovski's first fight, he did go out there and have a decent showing against Krzysztof Jotko in defeat. He's a pretty bouncy style striker who's mostly looking for power punches when he does strike. Definitely does have some knockout power in the hands. On the other side, you have Yaozong, who's taller by a fair amount. I mean, 6'3" to 5'10", so a 5-inch height advantage, even though the reach, strangely, 2 inches in favor of Amedovski. So maybe some short arms for Yaozong, pretty solid kickboxing with though, and he does have that pressure style, bit hittable down the center. Greco-Roman wrestling background, bigger guy. I think, like, striking-wise, competitive on both sides. I could see the clinch game potentially being a factor for Yaozong, putting Amedovski in the clinch, potentially holding him against the cage, scoring points that way. I think this is a fairly competitive fight. I do think Amedovski is going to land some decent punches. I do think he could potentially hurt Yaozong. It's a tricky fight. It's not one I would really recommend betting, but Alen Amedovski seems to be the better fighter here. Could be competitive, but more experience in the favor of Alen. I'm going Alen Amedovski, 10 fights versus a guy with just 5 fights. I feel like Amedovski, he came in 8-0, does have a decent skill set, is older at 33. Does that mean it's over for him? Absolutely not. Yaozong, who's still a developing guy. I'm going to ride with Alen Amedovski, but also note, this is Yaozong dropping down from 205, so he is definitely going to be a naturally bigger guy, but the speed advantage for Amedovski, I think, is going to make the difference. I'm riding him for the victory, but is it worth betting on? -150 favorite, Alen Amedovski, Yaozong, +125 dog. Would probably lean you away from this fight, but I am picking Amedovski to win it. The odds can be even found closer, -135 to +115, depending where you go. We're riding Alen Amedovski here to get the win over Yaozong, to start off the night, but not one I am recommending really throwing money down, and truly could go either way. Zhumagulov versus Jerome Rivera. I am excited for this fight because Zhumagulov is good. He just hasn't gotten that UFC win just yet. He came in, he comes off a win against Ali Baguchinov, who at one point challenged Mighty Mouse for the world title. He fights Paiva, who's a great talent at flyweight, and Amir Albazi, who's a very difficult stylistic matchup for him. On the other side, Jerome Rivera, 3-fight losing streak, loses to Tyson Nam, loses to Francisco Figueiredo, loses to Ode Osborne quickly too, is under 30 seconds. Rivera is a southpaw that likes to mix the stances up. That chin can be found a bit high. That's why Ode Osborne slept him with the straight shot. A lot of movement, and definitely is a decent kickboxer, but I don't feel he has the well enough rounded game to be truly UFC caliber as of right now. He's just 26 years of age. Granted, that fight against Ode Osborne, it's up at a heavier weight class at 145. Granted, he fought Francisco Figueiredo and was outmatched there, and he did lose to Tyson Nam. I'm not going to fault him too much for those losses. This is a very different stylistic matchup. On the side of Zhumagulov, you have a decent striker, but where he shines is top control, using his wrestling game to get fights to the ground. I do think he could potentially land knockout shots on Jerome Rivera, especially Rivera kind of inexperienced at the higher levels. Granted, not a significant amount of difference of fight experience, level difference. Outside of the UFC, Zhalgas was fighting some solid fighters, and he has a win over Tagir Ulanbekov, though controversial. I watched that fight. I don't believe he won the fight. Still went the distance with a very hot prospect. So for me, I think this is going to be Zhalgas' fight. He does also have a decent overhand punch, and I do think that could land on the taller Jerome Rivera's chin. So I'll ride Zhalgas Zhumagulov to win this fight by a knockout in the second round. I do see him using his wrestling, and I see strikes opening up as well. And he should get his first UFC win in this matchup. Odds, -375, around -350 if you get lucky. Jerome Rivera around the +300, +290 dog. You can find him low at +265, but I wouldn't bet the dog here. I don't have much faith in Jerome Rivera in this matchup. I think he's outmatched versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I'll ride him to win this fight, and it should be a pretty good flyweight battle here. Let's keep on moving up. Omari Akhmedov versus Brad Tavares. This is a matchup to be intrigued by because the Dagestani can wrestle. He definitely can. I mean, you look at Omari Akhmedov, very aggressive with his striking skills and does have some powerful hooks. Physically, he's a tank of a fighter and is really strong. Top control in wrestling is his specialty. Does have all right submissions from the top, but by no means a submission specialist. On the other side, Brad Tavares is a pretty well-rounded game at this point. Fended off the takedowns of Antonio Carlos Jr. Granted, Omari Akhmedov, maybe the better offensive wrestler. Granted, Tavares can also get back up to his feet. He's no schlub on the ground. Brad Tavares is well-rounded, but the stand-up game is really where his skills do lie. He has some pretty good boxing skills, a powerful straight right. I know he got that bad loss to Shabazian, and I feel like it's almost like people wrote him off as being no longer good. He got caught, he got knocked out. That is the fight game. Brad Tavares is well-rounded. Watch out for the low kicks. The takedown defense and get-ups for me are what is going to win him the fight. Being the taller guy, granted, not by much. I still think better technical striking, more range. I think he's going to be able to outstrike Omari Akhmedov. They'll clinch up. I think he'll eventually work his way out of the clinches. If he's taken down, he'll find a way to his feet. Brad Tavares for a unanimous decision victory, even though it's not like Omari Akhmedov is a terrible underdog at like +146 if you found it around there and you really wanted to bet it. He could win this fight by a decision using a grinding heavy grappling style, which I believe he'll try to come in with. I just think Tavares fends it off, though could potentially struggle a bit. Still, I'm riding Tavares. I have him winning it. -150 favorite. Maybe not the best betting play, but I think Brad Tavares is going to win the fight here, and he's going to do it by a unanimous decision. Let's keep on moving up through this card. Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Ai. Some women's MMA action, which betting-wise is extraordinarily dangerous. But as far as the actual fight does go between these girls, Jennifer Maia has some pretty deceptively good boxing skills, and she keeps that head moving a lot, so she is hard to hit on the feet. Solid lead left hook and a pretty decent straight. She's powerful overall. I mean, she had good positioning on Valentina Shevchenko, whereas no female does that to her. I really think Jennifer Maia is a very solid fighter in this women's flyweight division. Nasty submission game from the bottom. On the other side, Jessica Ai definitely has some solid boxing, and I'd call her a pretty aggressive striker. She likes to fight in that close distance. It does close range fairly well, though a bit recklessly at times. I see her getting counter-struck here a bit. Could potentially see this fight going to the floor, and actually I do. I think either... I don't think that Jessica Ai should engage a takedown, but I wouldn't be shocked if she ended up getting hit with a nice strike and shooting for it. Could see Maia finding a way to get this fight to the ground. I'm riding Jennifer Maia. I do think she wins this fight by a submission here. As soon as it touches the floor, I think that is fairly dangerous for Jessica Ai, but also I think she's going to be outstruck. So riding Jennifer Maia, submission win should be a good-to-go pick and bet, but it is women's MMA, and the craziest of shit happens in women's MMA. So betting wise, you're really going to have to sit down and think about if you want to throw down on this one. -188 to +140. That's the best you can get for Jennifer Maia. Granted, it's going to be sitting more around the -200 range. I do think she's a lock to win the fight. I think she definitely should, but crazy things happen in fighting, and you add women's MMA to it. Lots of wild stuff. We're riding Jennifer Maia for the win, and I am really looking forward to this fight by her against Jessica Ai. Let's keep on moving up this card. This fight has everybody excited. It's Ryan Hall, Ilia Topuria. On one side, jiu-jitsu master. On the other side, grappling ace. Both guys are extremely good on the ground. Now, there is a difference that lies between both of them. Yes, both good on the ground. Topuria's striking game is scary. His heavy-handed boxer definitely comes in and out of range at a high level. He's fast how he closes distance, and he does rip the body, which opens up the headshots. He's going to be the shorter guy. I think body strikes are going to be available to him. I do think his grappling skills and the Greco-Roman wrestling background definitely can compete with the tricky southpaw Ryan Hall. Awkward style. His style overall is strange. He's the master of that in Omari role. He tends to shoot for a lot of heel hooks and does a lot of circling and is constantly normally moving. And he is happy to be on his back. I mean, he's a guy that has nasty submissions anywhere on the ground. Also will throw some weird kicks as well. Ryan Hall is a very tricky fight, and a lot of guys in the top half, of the UFC's featherweight division are not interested in fighting him because he will make you look bad. It just happens to be that Ilia Topuria, I believe, has the grappling capabilities to compete with this man and is superior as far as the striking department does go. I got Ilia Topuria winning this fight, and he should do it by a knockout in the second round over the wizard Ryan Hall. You look at the betting side of this matchup, Topuria minus 250, minus 230, Ryan Hall plus 200-ish. You can find him low, plus 180, but you want him higher, like plus 205. He definitely would have a chance to win by submission, maybe a submission prop bet. We'll talk about all that stuff in the best bets video coming up later on this week. It'll probably be on Monday, depending when you're tuning this in. You may already be past, so check the channel out and go back and find it. But we're going to be talking about all the best bets when all the props are finalized and released. They have not been fully released just yet. Ryan Hall's submission prop would probably still have value if it's sitting at plus 200 or more, but I'm riding Ilia Topuria knockout in the second round. He is going to beat Ryan Hall, and I think he emerges as a fun contender in this 145-pound division. Big matchup and big opportunity for the young Topuria. Next fight, Dricus du Plessis versus Trevin Giles. Middleweights going at it here. Trevin Giles has turned it into turbo as of late. Win over Delidze and a knockout of Bevan Lewis, who's a tricky striker. Dricus du Plessis knocks out Marcus Perez badly in that fight. Granted, Perez gave him a bit of trouble striking. Dricus is a really solid kickboxer with nasty low kicks and likes to keep that high guard stance up when he does chop the low kicks. Has knockout power. I mean, he proved that in his UFC debut. I think we all respect his power. Granted, stylistic matchup, different. Trevin Giles is a lot more athletic. He definitely has that hands-low style, and he comes in and out of range pretty fast. Also, some pretty good kicking game, sharp jab, and a powerful one, too, because he did hurt Bevan Lewis with the jab in that fight. Does have like a weird slapping overhand that'll throw. Overall, he's an explosive and well-rounded fighter because he's no slouch on the ground either. I think the pressure is the difference here. I feel like Dricus is going to be a bit overwhelmed by Trevin Giles' style. I'm going to actually have to ride with Trevin Giles to win this fight. Slight money. I mean, it's either side. It's pretty much pick'em's odds for this matchup. Giles, ever so slight underdog at this point. You can find him at plus 102. I don't really love the betting play here. I think this is just a fight that you want to sit down and enjoy. I'll ride Trevin Giles for the win, though. The plus 102 favorite. Dricus du Plessis sitting around the minus 110 to minus like 120 something favorite. But I'm more going to enjoy the action. Skip the bet personally on this one. If you guys are interested in betting it, I'm going to ride Trevin Giles for the victory. I do think he wins it by unanimous decision. Just a bit more volume, bit more activity, and probably pressuring Dricus back. Granted, Dricus has knockout power when the prop releases. Maybe the knockout prop bet on Dricus is going to be outrageous and valuable, but I'm still riding Trevin Giles for the win. Let's keep on moving up. It is Niko Price versus Michel Pereira. This is not even the featured prelim. How sweet is this card? My goodness, stacked with action from bottom to top. A card you really got to tune in for. They're coming through with this UFC 264 card. Straight bangers, and I am super pumped to see Niko Price fight against Michel Pereira. This is the striking dream fight. This is the Price. This is the fight for Michel Pereira. Price is the fight. Niko Price on one side is a good kickboxer, aggressive striking, and has that like fast and wild hands, and he comes out crazy early at times. He definitely mixes it up and is confident and willing to go to war. Also solid in the tie clinch too. Michel Pereira, loose striker, bouncy style, unorthodox, and honestly athletic as hell as well, and large for this welterweight division. A lot of muscle mass. Nice combination strikes. counter-striking skill set. I think this is the showcase fight from Michel Pereira to push him towards being more of a notable, working towards top 15 contendership at 170. I am riding Michel knockout. Second round. I think Niko Price is going to go for it and really make it a fight here. And somebody that fights like that will allow Michel Pereira to demonstrate his dynamic striking skill set and knockout ability. Knockout, round number 2, Michel Pereira for the win in this matchup. Minus 160 favorite to the plus 135 dog. I like Michel Pereira to win here. I think stylistically it is a very good matchup for him. Niko Price is a weird fighter and does tricky things, but Michel Pereira also extremely odd and does tricky things, and I think he's going to get the knockout in this fight, and I think this is the showcase fight that Michel Pereira truly needs to propel his career forward. Good matchup. Excellent matchmaking. Excellent matchmaking. The featured prelim of the night. It's Max Griffin versus Carlos Condit. Got me excited for this one. Honestly, I am pumped to see how this fight plays out because Max Griffin is on fire right now. Big knockout win in his last fight. He's an athletic striker, very good in fast lateral movement. His low kicks are good. His hands very quick with underrated knockout power, I would say, really in his straight shots. He hits hard. On the other side, Carlos Condit, a very technical kickboxer, and I would even go as far as saying Carlos Condit has some beautiful technique with his striking. Granted, because of knee injuries, a bit slowed lateral movement, still very good, susceptible to takedowns against better wrestlers, and controlled by better grapplers in certain matchups. I'll be honest, guys. I think Carlos Condit still has at least one more in here, and I think he's going to beat Max Griffin. He's the more dynamic striker. He's the better skilled fighter, and he's only not even a year and a half older than Max Griffin. Max Griffin's 35, almost 36 years of age. I'm going to ride Carlos Condit, the natural-born killer. He is an underdog in this fight. I think he comes through and gets a unanimous decision upset in this fight. Let's see what the odds are sitting around for Carlos Condit here. Plus 165 to minus 200 Max Griffin. I like the plus 165 dog. Carlos Condit, I do think he wins this fight. Puts on a showcase, puts his name back as far as some notoriety, right? It'll be a 3-fight winning streak for Carlos Condit. I think there's fun fights in store for him if he can win this fight. He's going to beat Max Griffin, and I do think he does it by a decision. Carlos Condit still got a bit left in the tank. Super exciting matchups. This card is crazy. I'm telling you guys, this is a sweet card. We've arrived at the main card, and if you guys have not yet, make sure to smash the like button. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe here too, covering all things MMA, UFC, Bellator, PFL, and more. Sometimes we do the regional leagues. Another thing to note, we also dropped the best bets video, which is the most dynamic betting breakdown of the UFC that you can find on the internet. So make sure you guys tune into that. It will be a show on Monday or Tuesday, the week of the fights. Thank you all for being here. Smash the likes. Let's get it. Sean O'Malley versus Kris Moutinho. Serious mismatch. Serious mismatch. Short notice replacement. He's outsized by 4 inches. The reach is in favor of Sean O'Malley by 2. Definitely arm length advantage overall. He's fought the better guy. Sean O'Malley is on a different level. But I'll tell you a little bit about Kris. He is a southpaw who likes to mix his stances up. And he does have, a Thai-esque style with lots of feints and movement. I mean, Sean O'Malley does a lot of feints and movements too. Thing is, Kris a lot more square, a lot more hittable down the center. Has been knocked out before. Recent knockout loss is a notable fighter, Johnny Campbell, who's in Bellator. I feel like Kris is like a lower tier or mid-tier Bellator bantamweight. I think like outside the rankings. As far as skill set goes, Sean O'Malley is working towards being, a fairly notable contender inside of the top 15 of the UFC. Sean O'Malley is going to be on fire tonight. This fight, I think he's going to put on a showcase and honestly might be knockout of the night in this matchup. I think the powerful hands, the smooth straights, and the way he sets up everything, serious mismatch. His ground game's also improved, so if Kris tries to wrestle, I think that Sean O'Malley will be fine here. I am riding Sean O'Malley to smoke Kris Moutinho, and I do think it is in the first round, and I think it's a highlight reel knockout. Won't be surprised if the Sugar Show goes viral once again with a big KO. Odds for this matchup are extremely wide, as expected. At the best value, it's minus 700 for Sean O'Malley to Kris at the plus 600. Don't see the dog winning here. I am riding Sean O'Malley. Knockout win in round number 1 here. Get to the next fight of the night. Keep on moving up this card. Some women's action. And I think this could be an intriguing fight. Irene Aldana versus Yuna Kunitskaya. Kunitskaya kind of got lucky with that decision against Ketlen Vieira. I thought she could have lost, but she did get it. Did do some damage at the end of that fight. On one side, Irene Aldana, some solid boxing skills, moves extremely well. She burst onto the scene with a brutal first-round knockout of Ketlen Vieira. She really does keep her hands up extremely well. Her footwork is very good, fast on her feet. Nice jab, too, a quick jab, and that left hook. Mean left hook. Watch out for it. Yana Kunitskaya, a Thai style of striking does also have some Taekwondo skill set, so her kicks are very fast and dangerous. Granted, doesn't showcase them all the time. Does have some decent clinch work. Is heavy from the top. And as I mentioned, for Kunitskaya, the Ketlen Vieira win in the last fight, I think Irene Aldana is a level above. I think she's going to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Kunitskaya maybe will try to clinch a bit. That will be your best bet. But I think Aldana's movement will be too much. She'll pick her apart from the range here. She will win the fight. The better boxer and definitely better striker. And I think grappling-wise can compete at least 50-50 and defend off the takedowns. We are riding Irene Aldana for the win here by a unanimous decision. I think she puts on a fairly good performance. The odds have come close. -113, -120, +110 dog for Yana Kunitskaya, but that's a near even money. -113. I mean, Irene Aldana, the value's there potentially for a bet on her. I will say, women's MMA, inherent risk. It's just the riskiest game you can play. Granted, the bantamweight division, the most established of all the women's weight classes. I'm riding Irene Aldana. She wins this fight by a decision. And let's keep on moving up. Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. This is a really exciting matchup, and it is one I can absolutely not wait to see. Tai Tuivasa on one side, aggressive striker. Really chops the low kicks extremely well and does throw those like wild hook flurries from in close. On the other side, Greg Hardy is a huge heavyweight and an athletic specimen. He's a former NFL pro. Really good striking skills, and specifically his boxing is where he tends to shine. Real knockout power. He's explosive, but the gas tank starts to fade in that second round, especially the third round. If Tai Tuivasa survives probably past that first 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes, I think it's his fight. I think he can beat Greg Hardy. I think the low kicks, potentially some body work, he'll clinch up with Greg Hardy. Tai's a big boy at 265. Yeah, he's going to be a little bit outweighed on fight night by Greg Hardy. I don't think it's by all that much. I'm picking Tai Tuivasa, third round KO. I got to ride with him to beat Greg Hardy, the Prince of War. Granted, I think this fight is going to be entertainment, and there's definitely a case to be made that Greg Hardy could win the fight, and that's why the odds, not extremely widespread. -145 is Tai Tuivasa, +120 dog is Greg Hardy. I am riding Tai Tuivasa for the victory here over Greg Hardy. Should be a good fight. Betting-wise, it's heavyweights, and it's striking heavyweights. I don't know. Betting-wise, you might want to take a seat and just enjoy the showcase there. Co-main event, Gilbert Durhinho Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. In my opinion, for Wonderboy, this is his #1 contender fight. If he wins this fight, that's 3 in a row, and it's a big win over Gilbert Burns. I think it would probably push him into a title fight. On the side of Wonderboy, you have the unique karate style. He is a southpaw, but he can fight out of both stances. A lot of movement, and his counter-striking, excellent. This guy is special. Stephen Thompson is the realistically probably best technical striker in MMA. He's something else. Like, there's nothing like him. The karate style, the way he's adapted it for MMA, fantastic. Very fast, controls range like at another level. Very hard to take down. Not an easy guy to wrestle with. Gilbert Burns, explosive Thai boxing, definitely has some serious knockout power, especially in those wide hooks that he comes in with. And he does enter the pocket extremely quickly. Wonderboy probably wins this fight by a decision, but we have to acknowledge Gilbert Burns has a legit shake probably in the first 3.5, 4 minutes. If he can come out and hurt Wonderboy Thompson with a big strike and capitalize, that's his best bet to win. I don't think he will, though. I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson controls the range and wins himself his third fight in a row, beats a high-level contender in Gilbert Burns, and moves forward. I think Usman versus Wonderboy, that's a dream fight. I'm very interested in seeing that fight. Wonderboy, the -155 favorite. Gilbert Burns, the +130 dog. Maybe some potential bets to play on that one. We'll go deeper with the betting breakdown when all the props do release. Right now, though, Wonderboy, decent favorite here at -155 to Gilbert Burns, the +130 dog. You can find them at better value for Burns if you are looking to play a dog, +150. But I like Wonderboy in this matchup, and I do think he gets the victory by a unanimous decision, outstriking him with the kickboxing skill set that he brings to the table. Let's get to it. It's the main event of the evening. And if you haven't yet, smash that like button. We need at least 150 likes on this video. Subscribe if you're new here, and let's talk about it. It's Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor 3, the trilogy between these two top-of-the-line lightweights. McGregor, superstar of the sport, goes beyond just MMA. He's a superstar in general. Dustin Poirier, though, has really emerged as a pretty popular fighter. He's a fan favorite, a guy it's enjoyable to watch. His striking skill is dangerous. Chops the calf kick at an extremely high level, a southpaw, as is McGregor. Southpaw versus southpaw fights are always great to see. Granted, you look at that first fight, Conor McGregor connected with a lot of punches when he got in that mid-range. The problem was he could not stop the calf kick that Dustin Poirier brings to the table. He better be training his ass off to defend that calf kick, because if not, he's not going to win the fight. Let's be honest, Conor McGregor hasn't had amazing moments in years. His last huge win was 4.5 years ago against Eddie Alvarez. Granted, he fought Khabib, loses the fight, but it's Khabib. And he didn't do terrible in that fight. I mean, he survived 4 rounds. Donald Cowboy Cerrone kills quickly. Had a good first round against Dustin Poirier, especially in the clinch. I mean, he got back up to his feet, seemed to outmuscle Dustin in the clinch. Dustin looked like he may be fatiguing a bit. You can't count out McGregor, but you look at Poirier's last, few years of work. Eddie Alvarez win. Granted, that was a tougher fight than McGregor had with Alvarez. Granted, MMA math doesn't work. Destroyed Max Holloway. Loses to Khabib, but it's Khabib. Dan Hooker, competitive back and forth, entertaining ass fight with Dan Hooker, which Dustin Poirier wins a decision. And then he knocks out Conor McGregor. What won him the fight was those calf kicks. The grappling game was not going to work for Dustin. He was getting a bit tired. Conor and him, maybe not all that far apart as far as their clinch game, physical strength, and I think McGregor's underrated on the ground. I'll be honest, guys, I'm riding Conor McGregor to win this fight early in round number 2. He's going to knock out Dustin Poirier. He's going to reclaim, the McGregor aura that he once had. Potentially fights against Charles Oliveira, but don't be shocked if he does some crazy big money fight in a whole nother direction. I don't know exactly what it will be, but I will not be surprised with Conor McGregor, the real money fight in MMA. He's going to beat Dustin Poirier, avenge the loss, and win the trilogy against Dustin, who is a great fighter in his own, but Conor McGregor beats him here. I think he gets it done with the hands. Knockout, second round, early in the second round. He sleeps Dustin Poirier. Odds are pick'ems. -105, -115. You can find Conor at the +105 underdog. You can find Poirier at the best around the -108 favorite. If you're looking to throw money down, I like the dog Conor McGregor play. Maybe the Conor McGregor knockout play. We got props, so we'll look at them. Let's see what Conor McGregor by KO is here. McGregor by KO, +165. Poirier by KO, +210. Interesting. The Poirier by KO price is a bit higher. Poirier by submission, extremely unlikely. Don't see it happening. McGregor inside the distance, +155. How else would he really win but knockout? Let's see if we Mystic Macked it. Let's see if we picked Conor McGregor, knockout, round number 2. Let's see if they have it here. McGregor wins by KO round 1 is +450. McGregor wins by KO round 2, +700. You can find that. That's wild, and that would be Mystic Mac, but it's a Conor McGregor fight. Maybe we throw some wild bets out there. I'm riding Conor McGregor to win. I think he gets the knockout of Dustin Poirier. Slight underdog in a real pick'ems fight. Dream matchup. Overall, I don't think cards get better than this. A+ card, unless maybe you had like a championship doubleheader or something like that. But I'm going to call it an A+ card. Excellent action from bottom all the way up to top. Fights I cannot wait for. We're not leaving just yet, though. We got to talk about a couple of parlays to play. We'll go deeper with the best bets video where we fully break down the betting. But we're going to talk about a potential lock parlay. Put the quotes up because it's MMA. Crazy shit does happen, but I believe that these fighters will be victorious. It would be Sean O'Malley. Granted, I'm not going to play him at the -900. We'll play him at the 700. If we could find him at 700, that would be the way to go. And you team him up with Zhalgas Zhumagulov, -217. I think both those guys potential locks, and Michel Pereira plus 137, 3-fighter parlay, which I think has value and it can cash without extreme risk here. Now, if you want to add in more risk, we will add in more risk for you, because you know what? Some of you are risk takers. Some of you want the big prize and a little bit more risk on the back end. It might bite you, but it's women's MMA. Yes, I agree. Inherently, women's MMA, very risky. But this matchup is one where I think it is fairly predictable. I see Jennifer Maia beating Jessica Ai plus 256 parlay here. I think that's a pretty good one, and I definitely think it could and will cash. I would say as of right now, that's like the safer parlays to play. Granted, if you're feeling super confident, maybe you added in Wonder Boy. Maybe you said at the top, I want to throw Conor McGregor. Maybe you want to go crazy. And if you do want to go crazy, there's one to go crazy with. We'll have more. We'll go deeper with the best bets video, but I'm definitely giving you guys some fun previews here. I hope you guys enjoyed, because I enjoyed. I love talking about this pay-per-view card, the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier trilogy. At the top, there's really not much better as far as like the entertainment side of the fight game goes when Conor McGregor fights. Maybe him and Nate Diaz 3 will be a wild one. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to smash that like button. We need at least 150 likes on this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. It's not just this video. We're doing live predictions. We're doing best bets. We got a lot of things here at MMA Experts, so keep it locked in here. We cover all things MMA. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you all in the next video.